There are departures that make no sound, yet leave behind a void that nothing else can fill. Not because you tried to make her remember you, but because of the way you walked away, calm, strong, and without needing to be understood. You became unforgettable. True attraction doesn't lie in how tightly you hold on, but in knowing when to let go with the quiet strength of a man who understands his own worth. When you leave without resentment, without blame, and without needing closure, that's when you leave the deepest impression in the heart of the woman who once walked beside you. If you know how to walk away the right way, not to prove a point, but to preserve your dignity and inner peace, she will never forget you. Not because you cause drama, but because your silent strength is what lingers long after you're gone. In today's video, we'll uncover 10 powerful ways to walk away like a man who lives by the Stoic philosophy, calm, rational, and grounded. Let's get started. Silence full of value 1. Silence full of value. You know, in a world where everyone rushes to explain, to argue, to prove their side of the story, there's something undeniably powerful about the man who says nothing. Not because he has nothing to say, but because he chooses not to say it. His silence isn't empty. It's full of value. It's full of meaning. And more than that, it's full of restraint. When a man walks away without blame, without outbursts, without pouring his pain into desperate messages, he's not showing weakness. He's showing strength in its rarest form. Emotional mastery. Because true strength isn't about how loud you can speak, it's about how calm you can remain when everything inside you wants to scream. She might expect a confrontation. She might expect a final message, a long explanation, maybe even a bit of anger. That's what most people do when they're hurt. They react. They try to force closure. They speak to, prove they mattered. But you walk away like a man who knows his worth doesn't need to be shouted. Like a man who understands that sometimes words only damage what little beauty still remains between two people. Stoicism doesn't ask you to suppress your emotions like they don't exist. It teaches you to hold them with care, to carry them without being carried away by them. When you choose silence, it's not because you feel nothing. It's because you know not everything needs to be expressed to be real. That sometimes, silence speaks with far more clarity than any words ever could. Picture this: a man standing still by the ocean at dusk. No drama, no struggle, just stillness. The kind of stillness that makes people pause and wonder. She might not hear from you, but she will feel the space where your words used to be. That void, that calm, that absence with dignity. It echoes louder than any goodbye could. You don't stay silent to punish her. You stay silent because you're at peace with your decision, because you've outgrown the need to prove a point. And in that quiet space you leave behind, something lingers. Not bitterness, not regret, but a question, a weight, a memory. And that is why your silence stays with her. Because while others argued and begged to be remembered, you let your absence do the speaking. And she will never forget the man who walked away without a single word, only strength. 2, walking away with. Walking away with your head held high. Your head held high. There's a kind of departure that leaves no scars, but leaves a mark that time can't erase. It's not the loud exit, the dramatic scene, or the endless back and forth. It's the quiet one. The one where a man walks away with his head held high. No blame, no pleading, no chaos, just a steady breath, a calm gaze, and the silent strength of someone who has nothing left to prove. That moment, that image stays with her. Not because you said something unforgettable, but because you carried yourself like a man who knows his worth. To walk tall is more than posture. It's presence. It's a declaration that you gave your love freely. You stayed true to your word, and now you're leaving with your integrity intact. You don't twist yourself for closure. You don't beg for clarity, because a Stoic man doesn't collapse when love ends. He stands up straighter. He understands that peace isn't something she can give, it's something he gives himself. There's a timeless story in Stoic tradition. A Roman general was betrayed by someone he trusted. No rage, no vengeance. He simply rose, adjusted his armor, and walked away from the betrayal, calm and composed. History didn't remember the one who betrayed him. It remembered the stillness, the restraint, the dignity of the one who chose self-mastery over self-destruction. And that's the energy you carry when you leave, without resentment, just resolution. You see, most men leave bent over, crushed by confusion, consumed by what-ifs, desperate for one more chance. But not you. You walk away not because you were pushed, but because you stood for something she couldn't see until it was gone. You walk like a man who has already grieved, already healed, already understood the quiet truth. That love, if real, would never need chasing. One day, when she looks back, she might not remember the words exchanged or the final conversation, but she will remember how you left. That image of you walking away, not with bitterness, not with weakness, but with grace that will live in the back of her mind. Because the man who can leave with peace is the one she never truly forgets. Before we move on, take a moment to reflect. What does it really mean to walk away with grace and not grief? Think about the strength it takes to stay composed, to choose silence over drama, to value your peace more than your pride. That's not weakness. That's power, the kind that lingers. If this part spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments or simply type, "I choose peace over proving a point." Your words might just be what another man needs to read today. Number 3, leaving behind the best. When things fall apart, most people feel the need to destroy what's left, to lash out, say things they'll later regret, and reduce something once meaningful into fragments of resentment. But not you. You understand that how something ends matters just as much as how it began. And that's why you choose to leave behind the best of it. Not out of denial, but out of respect for what was real. You don't exit with shouting matches or emotional chaos. You don't flutter with guilt or manipulate her with one last plea. Instead, you offer something rare, a graceful goodbye, a final gesture that carries no bitterness, only quiet strength. You leave her with an image of calm, dignity, and presence, like a man who once loved fully and now walks away gently with honor. This isn't weakness. This is emotional discipline. Stoicism doesn't ask you to numb your heart or pretend it didn't matter. It asks you to feel it all and still choose clarity over chaos. To acknowledge the sadness, but not let it turn into spite. To leave with your values intact and your character unshaken. Because when you leave behind the best, the smiles, the warmth, the respect, you don't just protect her memory of you, you protect your own soul. You're not trying to be remembered for how much you hurt, you're choosing to be remembered for how well you loved. Imagine this. Years from now, she's alone with her thoughts. Maybe she's been through storms, met other faces, lived other lives. But when she remembers you, it won't be anger that rises. It will be a soft memory, a sense of something sacred. Not perfect, but pure. Because you didn't tear it all down in the end. You preserved the part that was still beautiful. A Stoic man knows this truth. How you leave says everything about who you are. Anyone can love when it's easy, but walking away with peace, with grace, even after pain, That's what leaves a lasting mark. Not every man has the strength to part that way, but you do. And because of that, she will never forget disappearing like a mystery you. Number 4, disappearing like a mystery. There's a kind of departure that doesn't echo in noise, but in silence. It's not dramatic, not messy, not filled with final words or angry explanations. It's the kind that leaves a lasting imprint without a single sound. You simply vanish, quietly, gracefully, as if you were never fully part of her world. And yet, your absence creates a space no one else can seem to fill. That's the kind of mystery that lingers. Not because you made a scene, but because you didn't. Because you didn't need to justify, accuse, or beg to be understood. You just disappeared, like a page turned in a book she wasn't finished reading. And now she can't stop going back, trying to reread the last chapter, trying to understand how a man could leave without needing to be seen doing it. A truly strong man never broadcasts his strength. He doesn't prove it through long messages or raised voices. He lets others feel it in the stillness he leaves behind. Your silence, your disappearance. It holds more weight than any outburst. It doesn't demand attention, and yet it commands it in the deepest part of her mind. The Stoics called it apithia, a kind of peace that comes not from being numb, but from not being ruled by emotion. You don't vanish out of spite. You don't disappear to punish. You do it because you've accepted what is, and you no longer force what isn't meant to be. That's not coldness. That's clarity. It's knowing that sometimes your presence prolongs the noise, while your absence delivers the message the heart refuses to hear. Let her feel it, not in a dramatic silence, but in subtle reminders. In the unoccupied seat at her favorite cafe, in the notifications that never come, in the lonely quiet of an evening where your presence used to bring warmth. That stillness creeps in, not to hurt her, but to make her realize what your presence once truly meant. Because it's not the loud departures that haunt us, it's the quiet ones, the ones that vanish like smoke, leaving behind nothing but questions and the ache of something unfinished. A Stoic man doesn't slam the door behind him. He doesn't leave with rage or regret. He simply chooses peace and lets that choice speak for itself. His silence is not the absence of emotion, but the presence of self-control. And that's the kind of disappearance that stays with her. Not like a wound, but like a mystery. Number 5, she doesn't need to know. You don't need her to know. She doesn't need to know you're hurting. You don't need to show the world that you're healing. There's no scoreboard in heartbreak, no medal for who moves on faster. Because the truth is, real growth isn't for display. It's for you. Quiet, internal, sacred. And a man who truly understands his worth doesn't perform his progress. He lives it. You don't post the gym selfies. You don't craft mysterious captions. You don't go out of your way to look unbothered online. Why? Because all of that is just another way of seeking attention. And a Stoic man has no need to be seen healing. He just heals. She might wonder in her quiet moments, maybe alone at night, she may ask herself, I wonder how he's doing. But you don't answer that question. Not directly, not through social media, not through mutual friends, not because you're bitter, but because you've moved on in the most powerful way possible, by letting go of the need to be noticed. You see, a Stoic doesn't seek applause for doing what's right. He doesn't chase closure or crave external approval. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And so you do. Not with noise, not with spectacle, but with quiet choices. You focus on your discipline, your health, your peace. You invest in the version of yourself that no one gets to see except you. Because true growth, it's invisible. It happens when no one's watching. When you choose peace over reaction, solitude over drama, consistency over chaos. You're not trying to prove anything to her or to anyone. You've stopped needing her to understand what she lost because you finally started understanding what you've gained. And one day, maybe weeks or months from now, life will place you in the same room again. No fanfare, no preparation. She'll glance your way and see it. Not through your words, but through your energy. A calm presence, steady eyes, a quiet smile that no longer carries pain, only clarity. And in that moment, she'll realize something. You never needed her to know. You just needed to know yourself. And that realization, that silent truth, will be the moment she regrets it most. So before we move on to what happens next, take a moment to let that sink in. True transformation doesn't broadcast itself. It reveals itself in time, in presence, in the way you no longer need to explain your silence. If any part of this message spoke to you, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, or simply type, "I choose quiet strength." It's a reminder not just to others, but to yourself, that the real work is happening within. And if this resonates, give the video a like to help more men embrace this path of inner power. Now, let's go deeper. Living as if nothing ever happened. Number 6. Living as if nothing ever happened. You know what quietly unsettles her the most? It's not your heartbreak, not your sad posts or your attempts to prove you're doing fine. It's when you genuinely live calmly, steadily, as if nothing ever happened. No grand statements, no dramatic shifts, just life continued. That kind of composure doesn't come from pretending. It comes from a mindset as grounded as the earth beneath your feet. You don't fake happiness. You don't become cold or withdrawn to prove a point. You just return to yourself. You wake up, make your coffee, go to the gym, focus on your work, laugh with friends, and carry on. That's not indifference. That's mastery, and it's the purest form of healing. Stoic philosophy teaches that every external event, whether joy or pain, is an opportunity to strengthen the soul. A failed relationship isn't a life sentence, it's a lesson. And a Stoic man doesn't label it as failure. He sees it as life unfolding. And he adjusts not by becoming hardened, but by becoming wise. He doesn't cling, he doesn't collapse. He continues forward. And that's where the shift happens. When she sees you or hears about you and there's no trace of bitterness, no emotional weight in your voice, just presence. She feels it not as rejection, but as realization. You're no longer stuck in the past. You've integrated the experience. You've evolved and you're still standing stronger, calmer, fuller. Maybe one day she'll pass by you in the street or come across your name in a conversation and she'll notice something. Your energy doesn't shake. Your eyes don't search. Your voice doesn't falter. To you, she's simply someone who once walked through your story, not someone who holds the pen to your next chapter. That's when she'll wonder, how can he be so at peace? But you won't answer, because real peace doesn't need to be explained. It radiates. It's felt in your presence, your choices, your unshakable focus. And that silent strength says more than any closure ever could. A Stoic man remains unmoved by what he cannot control, including the love he lost. He stays on course, fueled by purpose, anchored by values. And when he lives on, not in spite of the past, but because he grew from it, it creates something deeper than regret in her mind. It creates respect, and that respect lasts. Number 7, change without announcement. There's a kind of change that doesn't need to be broadcast. No stories on social media, no curated captions or subtle hints meant to spark curiosity. No late-night text to the ex saying, "Look how much I've grown." A strong man doesn't need to be seen changing. He just changes silently, purposefully, and allows his life to speak for itself. While others post quotes about moving on, He actually moves forward. While some drown in conversations that lead nowhere, he picks up another book, learning quietly. When the weight of disappointment hits, he doesn't collapse. He walks into the gym, lifts in silence, and lets each rep carry away the pain. There's no rage, no chasing temporary distractions, just transformation. Internal, unshakable, real. This kind of man doesn't seek validation for his progress. He doesn't announce his healing or expect others to notice right away. He simply keeps going, rooted in discipline, not emotion. Because a Stoic understands growth is not a performance. It's a private contract between who he was and who he's becoming. Epictetus once said, "Don't pride yourself on changing others. Take pride in having changed yourself." That kind of change, it earns no applause, but it earns peace. And that peace becomes the foundation on which a man rebuilds his life. Not for attention, not for revenge, but for himself. And then one day, without warning, she sees him again. Maybe it's a photo online. Maybe it's in passing or through a story. A friend tells. And in that instant, something hits. He's not just different, he's transformed. Not the shallow, surface-level kind of change, but the kind that radiates, the kind that can't be faked, the kind that makes returning impossible and forgetting quietly devastating. There's no speech, no bitterness, no need to say, "This is who I am now," because the truth is undeniable. And she feels it not through words, but through presence, through energy, through the quiet power of a man who outgrew the version of himself that once waited for her. No announcement needed, no explanation required, because the Stoic man understands. The most powerful changes are never declared. They're simply lived. And that silent transformation, that's what stays with her forever. Number 8, make her curious. One of the most powerful ways to leave a make her curious lasting impression on a woman is not through constant attention or emotional transparency, but through curiosity. Think about it. What makes someone unforgettable? It's not what they said or even what they did. It's how they made you wonder. And that's your quiet advantage. When she can't fully figure you out, when she doesn't have all the answers, you don't just become a memory. You become a mystery. You're not a book she can flip through and finish in one sitting. You're the story with missing pages, the emotion that lingers, the silence that says more than words ever could. That's how you walk away and still stay in her mind, by not giving everything away. When she doesn't know exactly how you feel, what you're thinking, or what you're doing, it forces her to imagine. And imagination is far more powerful than information. This doesn't mean playing games or being cold. It means holding back just enough to protect your inner world. A Stoic man understands that his emotions are his to master, not to display for approval or validation. As Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And one of those things is the urge to explain yourself. You don't owe clarity to someone who walked away. You owe yourself peace. She may start to question everything. Is he thinking about me? Did he move on? Does he miss me the way I miss him? But you stay still. You stay focused. You stay private. You don't reveal your moves. You don't over-explain or chase closure. The less she knows, the more she feels. Because in that absence of certainty, her curiosity grows. And with curiosity comes emotional tension. That tension is what keeps you alive in her mind, even long after the last message, the last look, the last word. So remember this: you don't need to be loud to leave a mark. You don't need to be visible to be remembered. You just need to remain a question in her mind, one that time can't quite answer. That's how legends are made. Quietly, mysteriously, unforgettably. Take a moment to sit with that thought. In a world obsessed with oversharing and constant validation, choosing to remain a mystery is a quiet act of power. So before we move on, ask yourself, are you giving her the space to wonder, or giving her all the answers too soon? True strength isn't about control. It's about restraint. If this idea resonates with you, I'd love to hear your perspective. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, or simply type, "Silence makes them wonder." Let's keep this conversation going. Number 9, beautiful memories. Beautiful memories as support, not burden. As support, not burden. There are moments in life that stay with us forever. Those shared sunsets, the laughter that echoed deep into the night, the soft glances that needed no words. They were real. They were beautiful. And yes, they still live somewhere inside you. But here's the key. Those memories aren't meant to weigh you down. They're meant to lift you up. When a relationship ends, many men either run from the past or drown in it. But a Stoic man chooses a third path. He doesn't erase the good. He honors it. He remembers without regret, and lets those moments become silent companions on his journey. Not ghosts that haunt him, but stones that steady his step. There's power in being able to say, yes, it mattered. And yes, I'm still moving forward. You don't live in the past, but you don't reject it either. Instead, you carry the best of it with you. Not like luggage, but like armor. Every good moment becomes a quiet source of strength. Every gentle memory reminds you that you are capable of love, connection, and presence, and that you'll bring those qualities with you into whatever life offers next. Stoic philosophy reminds us that we cannot control what happens, but we can choose how we hold it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And so those old memories, once bittersweet, now become fuel. They teach you that your heart is resilient, that your spirit is still intact, that you can love deeply and let go just as deeply. You keep those memories tucked away, not on display, not as daily reminders of what was lost, but as evidence of what you're capable of. They are not your identity. They are not your destination. They are simply part of your story. You visit them occasionally like you would an old cabin in the woods, grateful for the warmth, but knowing you no longer live there. And here's something most people never admit. When she remembers you, when the past flashes through her mind in quiet moments, it won't be with bitterness if you've done the inner work. It'll be with softness, with peace, because you handled your goodbye with grace. You didn't try to rewrite the story. You simply chose to walk forward, head held high, heart still open. That's what real strength looks like, and that's how a Stoic man carries his past. Not as pain, not as regret, but as proof of his ability to feel, to grow, and to rise again. Number 10, not always a matter of choice. When a relationship ends, it often feels not always a matter of choice, like you're standing at a crossroads. One path whispers, "Try again, fight for what you had," while the other demands silence, self-respect, and the strength to move forward alone. But here's a truth most men don't fully grasp until it's too late. A man who truly knows his worth does not allow himself to become someone else's decision. He is not waiting to be picked. He is not lingering in the background hoping for a second chance. He is not a backup plan and never will be. You've seen it happen. Maybe you've even lived it. After a breakup, a man tries to prove his love, to fight harder, to convince her that he's still the one. He tells himself that if he doesn't try, he'll regret it forever. But in doing so, he unknowingly hands over his power. He puts his identity in someone else's hands, hoping to be chosen rather than choosing himself. A Stoic man sees through this illusion. He knows that love built on pleading is not love. It's fear in disguise. And no man grounded in strength begs for belonging. Instead, he holds this truth close. If I have to be chosen to feel worthy, then I've already lost myself. Because the moment you become an option, you compromise your place as a man of value. And that's not something you negotiate with anyone. You don't need to convince her of your worth. You don't need to replay old conversations or rehearse the perfect message to win her back. Real strength lies in understanding that not everyone is meant to walk your path, and that letting go can be the most courageous act of all. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If her indecision feels like rejection, let it become your redirection. You see, a man of discipline doesn't crumble when she hesitates. He doesn't spiral when he's not chosen. He doesn't base his next move on whether she calls, texts, or shows regret. Why? Because he's already made his choice, himself, his peace, his future. And in that stillness, in that clarity, he becomes untouchable. The right choice isn't clinging to someone who left. The right choice is walking away from being someone's maybe. And when she finally realizes that she can no longer reach you like before, that you're no longer emotionally available on command, something shifts. You're no longer the man she left. You're the man who walked away with dignity and didn't look back. That's the power of choosing yourself. That's Stoic masculinity in action. And there it is, the silent strength of conclusion, walking away like a Stoic man. Let this video be more than just something you watched. Let it be a mirror, a reflection, a quiet reminder that the way you leave says everything about the man you've become. You've just seen 10 ways to walk away, not with noise, not with bitterness, but with purpose, presence, and peace. So take a moment and ask yourself, what does my silence say about me? Because in the end, it's not about being remembered by her. It's about being respected by the man staring back at you in the mirror. Here's the lesson. You don't chase closure. You become closure. You don't scream your worth. You live it. And when you do that, when you let go with grace, when you protect your peace over your pride, you leave behind something no woman ever forgets, your unshakable self-respect. If this message resonated with you, do me a favor. Click that like button to help spread this mindset. Drop a comment below, even just writing, "I choose peace over pride," to remind yourself and others of this powerful path. And before you go, watch one of the recommended videos on screen right now. Each one will guide you deeper into self-mastery, silent strength, and the art of becoming unforgettable without ever needing to say a word. Stay grounded, stay silent, stay strong. Until next time.